Hank to Hendrix. You're with Julian on the Brown Note and a brief review of the recent release. No, it says 2016 in Germany. No, July 16. Came out in August, and it was also a reasonably big cinema release. 42 million at the box office. It was actually a success at the box office, which is virtually no film this year. It's from German director Derek Borte, and it stars Russel Crowe as a very unhinged man who gets into a road rage incident with Karen Pistorius on a freeway and hunts her down. Broadly speaking, it's been linked to two other films, both vastly superior films. The Hitcher, one of the great unknowable serial killer films ever, with Rutger Hauer. Famously, at the end of that film, he's sitting in a police cell with one of his victims, shouting at him to tell him why he did any of it or who he is, and Rutger Hauer just stares impassively. We never know, and that is the high point of the film, because he is like the unknowable darkness. The void is staring back at him. And the other one is Falling Down, a very, very memorable and iconic Michael Douglas film that showed a common man being beaten down by society until he snaps and goes on a crazy rampage. It's got some dodgy right-wing overtones. The only thing that I have a problem with in that film, I wish they'd made him an average Joe, and by the end of the film you understand that he's got this massive backstory which pushed him there. I would rather he had just been broken that day and he didn't have like 6 months of stuff to get to that point. He was already the man that was going to do that, but still a very iconic film. This is a film that's been trashed pretty much by critics. I can see why. It's a terrible film. Yet. So we follow... It doesn't have any fat on its bones. It's only about 93 minutes long. It pretty much starts with Karen Pistorius, who is an actress that has come up recently on this show because of the film Slow West and the actor Cody Smith-McPhee being rubbish 3 shows in a row now. I thought she was Scottish because of that film. Here she's an American. She's a New Zealand actor. She does accents really, really well. She's shown getting up late for work and too late to drop her kid off at school. And she ends up on the freeway and tries to get out of traffic and ends up hooting Russel Crowe's car. Big mistake. Russell Crowe is shown at the start of the film violently entering his ex-wife's house and killing everyone in there. It's a pretty grim and confronting opening. So we know that he is someone that he's shown with a whole cavalcade of pills in his hand. He's obviously someone that is deeply unhinged and mentally disturbed. And he then starts pursuing Karen Pistorius' character for the rest of the movie with an ever-escalating torment, worse and worse things, trying to find out more about her life and attack her family and so on. And most of it happens in real time as he's at first chasing her along the roads, and then he's got more information about her through mobile phones and finds people that she knows and loves and torments them to get to her, with the notion that he doesn't actually want to kill her. He wants to torment her family and friends so that she suffers. He wants her to live through it all. Now, it's a very weak film. The biggest problem I have with this film, and it's a problem I have with a lot of films, is when the lead character who is in this situation is so stupid. And unfortunately, Karen, her performance isn't bad, but her character writing is one of the worst I've ever seen. Because they make her... It's really hard for me to be on the side of someone that makes such continually stupid decisions throughout the film. She spends a large chunk of this film being pursued by a maniac. She's in the middle of a city surrounded by thousands of people. She has a car and she has a mobile phone. There are so many outs for her throughout this film that I found it incredibly grating, and I actually really wanted him to get her. She is a problem in this film, even from the start when she's shown oversleeping. That kicks off this whole episode, I was kind of not on her side. She kind of does it all to herself. But she makes so many bad decisions. She continually escalates what's going on by not choosing the obvious way out. And later on in the film, she actually involves her kid and brings her kid along because this guy is forcing her to do so, putting her kid in this harm's way as well. All of those bits are terrible. Russel Crowe is a bit laughable as a caricature, but he's very frightening. He's a big guy in this, really big guy, and he's very scary. And the whole notion of him chasing her because of a hooting road rage incident. Where this film falls down again, it throws up into the air lots of common tropes that are very interesting and doesn't pursue any of them. The notion of road rage, the notion of surveillance on mobile phones, the notion of anger in confrontations in public, getting out of control and leading to violence and worse, and the whole notion of a society that is, lives through technology and is distanced from each other and so on. His big point at the start I kind of agreed with, which is she hoots him, but she doesn't give him a courtesy beep beep. She goes for the full horn, and that's what kicks it off, and it's her not apologising to him that kicks him off. Now, all of these things are terrible. It's a really badly written film. I didn't warm to the lead character at all, and Russel Crowe's a caricature, but a very good, scary one. So I'm not going to trash it completely because it's very short. It actually gets the job done, kind of. So if you want to waste just over an hour watching a film that's very tense, it is very tense, that has some very crunchy car crash action, has some very brutal, memorable violence, and doesn't meander at all. It happens in real time. A lot of it is very unbelievable, but I can't say that I didn't enjoy it at all because it did get the job done. It as a genre film, it's passable. As a piece of writing that is attempting to engage with a lot of modern themes, it's terrible. Creating a female lead that is so off-putting for me because of the terrible choices she makes throughout the whole film, that was a problem. But scene to scene, it's fast, it's energetic, it's very dynamic, it's violent and imaginatively so. Like I said, some crunchy car crash action. And if you go along for a ride and totally disconnect your brain, I do think it is just worth a once through. So I can't believe I'm giving a film as bad as Unhinged a 6 out of 10. I would say that even though there are these big things wrong, they don't jut out in a way that's something like The Tax Collector where you're laughing at them. It's just not well done. But is it an hour and a half of tense, gruesome activity that will fly by? I think so, just. So Unhinged, 6 out of 10.